Well, good morning, everyone. And good morning, Dragon. Good morning, Lachlan and Aziz. Welcome. Welcome back to the stream. So we're going to continue on working with our Marvel inspired application. We'll have a bit of a look at where we're at. Dragon, you mentioned Hot Reload is in public preview. Yeah, Hot Reload is awesome. So that's really, really good news. So I've actually got to upgrade mine so that I'm using the sort of public version of it, because at the moment I'm using the private invite version. Alrighty. I made a couple of changes to my stream. So I'm now in a little Xamarin over here. I don't know if that's a good thing or not, but I thought I'd just change things up a little bit. What else have we got going on? Oh, I created, I think Dragon, you mentioned that, you know, when I'm doing my code, often I put the emulator behind my head, and you mentioned perhaps put it into a scene in OBS. So I actually did that. So I've got a couple of new scenes. So one of the scenes is this one here. So I've actually got both my emulators here that I can use and display. So I've got a full screen for that. I got a full screen just for the iOS version. So this is actually displaying the simulator, and I've also got one for Android as well. So some cool new scenes inside of there. All right. So that's what I've been doing. Let's have a look at our project, see where we're up to. So first of all, let's talk about what we've got to do today. So somewhere I've got this window here of what's outside. Yeah, I love the Android dude as well. I couldn't find a good Apple dude. All right, so hey David, how you doing? Yeah, so that's how I'm displaying my emulators now. All right, so where we're up to. Well, actually, let's just go and have a look at. Let's go and have a look at both of them. So here's the application running on both simulators. So there's a few things that we want to fix up about this, but where at the moment we've got our swipe animations, we've got our superheroes reducing in size, appearing there. We've got ourselves a bit of an expand animation, so we worked on getting that transition right. What we need to work on today is we need to work on making that text actually have an animation as it goes through, a gradient as it goes through there. But we've sort of got the basics going there. We also need to work on the text or the information that appears at the bottom. So if I actually come and have a look at the original sort of video of this, which I should mention, by the way, I've got a command for this. There we are. That's the actual command or the actual layout that we're trying to do. For those of you who want to check out the GitHub for where we're working, it's available there. And we will, of course, check in the code afterwards. So let's have a look at the original one. It's pretty awesome. So we've got a few of these elements in here already. This is the bit that we need to work on now. We need to work on this bottom section here, making that appear in the little Marvel indicator as well. We also need to do the transitions going back out as well. What else have we got? We've got things like it popping in as the user selects it. So if I come back to here, if I've got this collapsed, that's something we've got to fix as well. It turns out that this back arrow here on the iOS one is actually too small. The image is too small, so it's really hard to hit. So we'll fix that up as well. But what we can see is as we start moving, it does actually bring that card in, and it's got our nice little rounded corners there as well. Okay, so that's pretty much what we're going to work on today. I would like to start off by doing a few adjustments on a platform sort of approach. Like you can see that the title under the movies here on iOS, this needs to come down a little bit to get underneath the little notch. Probably on Android, it's okay. So we'll go in and we'll adjust those. So we're going to use an on-platform sort of feature to do that. And there's some nice new additions actually in on-platform, which allow us to actually go and do this on a per platform basis right inside of our XAML. So let me just bring up our code here. Stop that running. And let's start off. Let's have a look at our main page. Okay, so with our main page, we've got our movies header here. But what we want to do is basically make that so that it's slightly different on each platform. So that's kind of nice and easy to do. So I want to adjust this margin, right, on a per platform basis. Now, if I want to do that, I can use this new syntax that we have. Well, it's actually probably not that new anymore, but it is really, really cool. We can say, hey, on a margin on platform, I can say in iOS, let's make that 30, which is a little bit bigger. And I can set it for other platforms as well. In my case, I'm just going to set it for all other platforms. So I'll say a default of like 10 inside of them. Okay. Now, likewise, we want to adjust our back arrow as well. And actually, before I do that, let's just see whether that's adjusted our titles first of all. So I'll run that probably on Android, on iOS, I think. Even though I just started my Android one. Have a look at how it appears on Android. On Android, you can do it. All right, so that's about right. We need to adjust this back arrow. So Lachlan says, with that markup extension, can you use multiple numbers for margin? Yeah, you can. Which is pretty cool. So we're going to have to do that with this arrow that we have here. Okay, let's have a look under iOS quickly. Just check that that's looking all right. Now I am using Hot Reload. Unfortunately, right at the moment, as awesome as Hot Reload is, the one feature that it's really missing is that you can't do it on multiple simulators at the same time, or at least the preview version that I have. So hopefully we can see that change soon. I'm just building out my iOS version. Lachlan, you're still with your own personalized Hot Reload. Emoticons. All right, let's have a look at iOS. All right, cool. So that's brought it underneath the title there. It's as close as you can get with Twitch emotes. Nice. All right, so that brings it down a little bit. So that's nicer. Let's have a look at this back arrow, right? Because the problem with this back arrow is it's too small. Actually, I need to expand this first. And it can be really hard to hit, right? So what I've actually done is in Adobe XD, I've just worked on a few resources here. So we're going to be bringing in these movie posters. Oops, hang on, got to swap to my desktop. Going to bring in these movie posters. I also went here and got our back arrow. I made it a little bit thicker because I thought it looked a bit better, thicker. And I've also sort of expanded out the size of it as well. So it gives us a bigger hit target, because otherwise it's really hard to hit with your finger. Okay, so let's export some of those resources. So the ones that I want to bring out is the back arrow and all of these layers here. Oops, hang on a second. Let's do this one first. Go and export that. My directories, here we go. Let's do our Android first. So we're going to export that into Android resources. We'll set that as Android. And this should replace the existing element. Beautiful. And we'll also grab these movie posters while we're here as well. Your designer told you to thank you for showing you the export resources. Yeah, it's really awesome. There's actually another way you can do this as well. Hang on. You just select all these guys. Have I selected them all? Should have just done it through here. Oh, and I also got a Marvel logo as well. So we need one of those. So I've got one of those. So let's do all of these at the same time. Actually, you know what? Let's just grab all of these. Export selected, Android into Android resources. Beautiful. And we'll do the iOS ones as well. Of course, we'll go back up, directory or two, go to iOS, select our resources, export them. Beautiful. Right, I think that's it. The other way, incidentally, Dragon, you can share this stuff as well, is you can do something like this. You can say share for development. See if this works for me. And you can say, you know, for iOS, for example, and create those resources. And what it kind of gives you, and I haven't set this up as correct storyboards yet, but if I actually had this set up, you could actually step through the application. But when we export this, and then we go and have a look at this link here. Crazy link. But it should give us all of the resources for the various screens. Okay, so you can sort of step through the screens. And what's cool about it as well here is you can actually do this. You can have a look, or you know, if a developer can have a look and they can actually go through and copy the styles. They can see the fonts inside of here. When you've got like an image as well, you can, you know, select an image. You can see all of the outlines as well. So you can do that without having Adobe XD. You can just share this with anyone, which is pretty cool. And it will basically tell you where everything is. So it's really handy for developers. That's one of the reasons I think I'm really moving towards Adobe XD as my sort of primary design tool. All right. So anyway, that's a different way of exporting it. Yeah, it's nice being able to see all the margins. Absolutely. Okay, so we went and we adjusted these margins here. Okay, we also need to get this back arrow going. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to spin this puppy up under iOS. So Dragon, how did I get the character cutouts? Did I just crop them in Photoshop from a different image? Now, literally all I did in order to get those was in my Adobe XD here, I took screen captures of the videos, right? Like this. And then I basically went and cut out this image of Iron Man and then just went and did a Google image search. So, you know, if you come along here and you say like Iron Man cartoon or something like that. You know, maybe that's probably not what we're after. So if you go Iron Man, and then all I did was I said, let's go and get things with a transparent background. And then somewhere around here, I found the same image that the designer used. And so I got that. And then in Adobe XD, when I sort of created a similar looking screen, I just added a drop shadow into it. That's basically what I did there. And the same deal with Spider-Man, added a drop shadow. It's not exactly what the designer had, but it's close enough for what we're trying to do. All right, cool. Now let's have a look at the iOS version, which is running, and we can use a little bit of hot reload as we do this as well. So I'm going to adjust the margins here. All right, so it probably wants to come down a little bit, not too far. Just move it down a little bit. That's about right. But what we might find is on Android, it's a little bit big. Let's have a look here. See if our hit target's better. Yeah, see, look, that's much better. You don't have to be so exact. Beautiful. I think that's really important when you're developing your apps as well, is make sure that you test it out with your finger, because otherwise you might not notice things like that. So what we want to do now is we want to say with this margin, and this is the question that Lachlan was mentioning, how do we do an on platform here? So I think you can just go on platform in iOS. Let's make this equal to, and it's just a string, right? So we can actually just put it inside of a string there. And then I can say the default. So for other platforms, might need a comma in here, I think. I should then be able to give it some different values, right? So in this one here, we probably want it to be the same, 40. This one's a bit further up. And let's see how that goes. And I think that should probably work for us, except clearly I've put a double quote in there. And I think that should be right. Yeah, the single things. Yeah, because if you don't put that in, it I don't know, I suppose it thinks they're all different parameters. If you didn't want to have different margins per device, you could probably use safe area inset. Yeah, that's probably true. And I think that's really important now in, particularly in iOS. You've got to test out for, things with chins, things without chins, or cutouts as well. All right, let's have a look at how that's looking. So that should be about right. Let's try it on Android. Hey R2, how you doing? It's been a while. Actually, while you're doing that, let me set something up for you. I need to get samples for everyone.
It's R2, so you can't argue with it.
Few long weekends, beautiful. Welcome back, R2. All right, let's see what our Android's doing. Okay, looks about right. Beautiful. Where did you go anywhere fun, R2? Alright, so here's our here we go. That's looking okay. Swipey, swipey. All right, enough playing with that. What's next? I think that pretty much moves that down to where it wants to be. Come back over to our desktop, see what's next on our list of things to do. Oh no. Okay, we've got text gradients. Now, before we do that, actually, Lachlan, it turns out that I actually have face rig, so I could probably do it if I had a model of an Android. I could probably do that. Maybe I should just cut my head out and stick it where the Android is. A cruise. R2. That's pretty cool. My parents do lots of cruises. But my wife doesn't want to go on a cruise because she doesn't want to be stuck on a boat for a long time. I think my dad likes going on cruises because of the buffet. All right. Expand animation. I think we're kind of okay with that expand animation at the moment. There's so many things. Good morning, Tulamar. Preston, how you doing? Get sick of the trolley. Yeah, well, cruises are not for you. All right. Now, hey, one other thing that I think we should look at here as well, if we just a nice little tweak to go in line with what the designer had in mind here, is getting rid of. You notice in the design they don't have in the iOS, they don't have the little notch here. They also they don't have the little, I don't know what you call it, the little indicator down the bottom here. They also don't have the status bar up here as well. And it turns out Zamgirl published an article just recently, and she mentioned how to do that. You can do it with platform specifics, which is really awesome. So here's this article by Zamgirl, who, by the way, is always good to follow. She has lots of really, really good information. And I didn't know about these. I kept on doing these through the info P list and things like that. But it turns out that you can hide the status bar in iOS with a platform specific. So David, if you're, David Ordenau, if you're still online, thanks for this. Thanks for adding it. And Zamgirl, thanks for mentioning it. So let me zoom that in. Whoa. Okay, so there's a thing called preferred status bar hidden. Set that to true. Preferred status bar update animation fade. So if I go and copy these 3 lines of code here, and I stick this back into my main page, XAML, that should get rid of the status bar. And she had another one as well for getting rid of the home indicator. First home indicator hidden is true. How's that music? Is that music too loud? Okay, so theoretically with that in there now, in our iOS,
sometimes things don't work.
So I get this error every now and again. I'm not sure what it is. It's just freaking out for some reason. But if I hit run a few more times,
sometimes things don't work.
It'll work. Thank you, Tulama. I'm probably saying that terribly, but thanks for that. And hopefully I continue with this. Yeah, look, my plan for streaming is pretty much keep on Fridays doing UI challenges just because I like doing them. They're fun. But I'd also like to build out some applications as well. So just some really simple ones, just sort of, start to end. So as we can cover things like, just lots of little things like splash screens, how you actually deploy something to the store, adding all those finer touches. Because a lot of what I do in these Friday streams, ignores a lot of details, about how you'd set up a proper MVVM application. So yeah, stay tuned and, make sure you smash the follow button and the alert so you know when we're broadcasting. Okay, cool. So if I go and have a look at my iOS now, splash screens suck to make. Yeah, they do. If we go and have a look here, very well, we've now got rid of our info bar. I suppose that's, I don't know, the status bar up the top, caller bar. And also, this is something interesting. This here is going to disappear. This should fade out. So now we get much more, immersive application. Beautiful. And on Android, we don't have platform specifics. I had a little bit of a dig around in platform specifics and couldn't find that, but I do have some code that you can throw into I did it in the Mountain Design. It's this here. You can set some window flags inside of Android and that'll get rid of the title bar. So if I go and grab that bit of code, oops. Sorry guys, I'm on the wrong screen here. So the code, basically under our Android in our main activity, you can come in here and you can say, let's set the window flag, say, hey, I'm full screen, clear the force not full screen. I don't know, it's an Android thing. And that should hopefully mean in my Android one now it's full screen as well. Let's spin it up and see if that works. Right. So there we are. We've now lost that title bar across the top. Beautiful. Okay, so now we're in a pretty good place for where we want to be. Okay, so let's now have a look at using fonts in SkiaSharp, because that's kind of where we're going to be now, isn't it? Because if we have a look at the design, there's a really small, subtle bit after it does this transition here. You see halfway through the transition, it's actually the gradient goes through the text inside of there. Now we're going to have to do some magic there. And it turns out that, we've got this gradient that we're actually pushing up the screen, and that is done through, what's it called? A shader. And you can apply a shader to a brush or an SK Paint object. And so what I'm thinking is if we can render this text out using SkiaSharp, we can apply that shader as it goes up the screen onto that text, and we should be able to get that text gradient appearing. That's the theory anyway. And of course it has to do the same thing on the way down as well. Where's down? I was showing down. There we go. On the way down. Because what we're actually doing at the moment is we're just doing a nasty little hack, whereas after it does the transition, it then changes the text color, which might be fine, but it's not that cool. Okay, so let's talk about text. Now I did a little bit of research on this because I'd never really done much in the way of text with SkiaSharp. And we're using custom fonts, and SkiaSharp has lots of really, really cool docs. So custom font, like the actual, let's not go there. SkiaSharp, Xamarin.Forms. The docs are awesome for SkiaSharp, and the sample that they have as well is actually really cool. They have lots of really great samples. Matt LeBeau, I think, I don't know if I'm pronouncing his last name right, I think pretty much heads this up, and it's super amazing. One thing I did find though, when I was looking through here, you know, you can draw out a font, but there's no real discussion. Thank you, Aziz, or Muhammad. I'm assuming Muhammad Aziz. Yeah, in the docs, they've got some information, but they don't really talk about custom fonts so much. But in the sample that they have, it does do custom fonts. And one of the things is that, you know, fonts are embedded into each of the platform resources. And so what we want to be able to do is we want to be able to pull those out. And I found a really cool article here, SkiaSharp and custom fonts in Xamarin.Forms. And the community is awesome. We've got so much good community content these days. And we can just sort of Google things up and we're good. So the way this works is it's basically saying, okay, well, let's go and create ourselves an interface, right? So our asset helper, which says go and get a typeface. Okay? And then it's implemented on each platform, because on each platform, it's gonna get the typeface in a different way. Okay? And then, you know, we wrap that in a dependency service so we can call down to the platform and we can get that back out of there. So that's how we load up a custom font. Well, that's one way of doing it. You know, you could have a custom font embedded into your application as well, your main bundle or your shared project or .NET Standard project, and reference that as well. Okay, but I'm just gonna grab that screen here. I'm just gonna move it over here so I can sort of copy a little bit of this code out of here. And we're going to replace our labels with some SkiaSharp text. But first of all, what I'll do is I'll go ahead. Let me close all these windows down. And follow the approach that he mentions in this article. We'll go and add ourselves an interface, right? So the interface, you know, is just our font asset helper, I suppose. So I'll call it that. I'll call it our font asset helper. And it's just going to have one method. So again, I'm just copying this from that article. So it's going to return a typeface. Now, loading up typefaces is a little bit slow, so it's something we're going to just want to do once. What else are we going to do? We're actually going to pass in a font name in here as well. So we'll pass in a font name into there. And then we want to provide an implementation of this on each of our platforms. So under Android, we'll create ourselves a new class. And we'll call this like that font asset helper. Call this droid.cs. Doesn't really matter what it's called. And of course, the idea of that is that we're then going to use the platform specific code in there in order to load that up. Okay, so we need to implement that interface. It was called iFont helper. Implement that interface. And that's pretty cool. Did it just include that using for me when I did that? That's awesome. Look at that. I didn't know it did that. That's awesome. So in SkiaSharp, can you control how fuzzy a gradient is on the end? Like, could you have a hard edge on the gradient if you wanted to do a progress bar? Let's have a look at the code, Dragon, that we had for our card here. Sorry, I'm just going a bit crazy here. Here we go. So when we did the gradient, right? So this is where we created our shader for our linear gradient, right? So what we say is we say, well, this is where the gradient's going from and to, so the locations of it. These are the colors that it's going to go through, right? And that's an array of colors. So you can put as many in there as you want. In our case, we're going from the hero color to white, right? And then we've got the positions of the colors as well, right? So that's from 0 to 1. So in other words, if you sort of think about, you've got this box here, it's basically saying, I'm going to go from hero color up here to white there. Now, I think if you wanted to do a progress bar, this is how I would do it. There may be easier ways, right? Is actually throw another one in here. So let's say you wanted it to transition from hero color, and then, so you wanted the transition to sort of transition through here nicely and then have a hard cut here, right? I would just go and throw in another, like if we did this like that and said it goes from hero color to white and then the second one is white, I could actually say, this goes to 0.9, for example. To 1. Hey, thanks for the follow, Mikhail Dev, and welcome. So I think, Dragon, if you did that, right? So therefore your transition would go across there, right? And then it would be, or you could even do, to 1, right? It would then have a hard gradient sort of cut. Does that make sense? I haven't tried it, but I think that would work for you. It's kind of like, I always think of it in terms of like how I do it in Adobe XD, right? So for example, if I had this here, right? I had a progress bar and I said, I wanted this to fill in a linear gradient from, let's go from red to blue. And I said, yeah, okay, I want this to go from red to by here. Red to blue, but instead if I wanted it to have another stop, I could basically sort of come in here and I could say, well, this one is the same, and I could, you can basically do the same thing with SkiaSharp. So that's the approach that I would use. Like I said, I haven't tried it, but pretty sure it's going to work. Now, where are we? We were going to add in the font assets for iOS. I don't think I've added that in. Oh no, actually we're doing the Android one. Okay, so I'm going to copy this code from that article about getting that typeface. Throw that in there, something like that. Included SkiaSharp. Let's say go and get it from assets. Oops, don't want that. What's that going to be? Let's think about Android. I think in Android drives me crazy. Let's try this. Let's try like Android. I think it's Android app. Application context. So I can use the application context here because it's not going to matter. It's just pulling out the assets. Yeah, Android. Exactly. R2AU. And we want to actually load up the font name that we tell it. going to be using for our memory stream. Blah, blah, blah. Load that up. Let's that. Like that. To remove our usings. Okay, cool. So this is now saying, okay, go and get that typeface, give it a font name, load it up, pull it out of my assets because that's where it's living at the moment, return that typeface out of there. And because we're going to access this through dependency, well, this is one way we're going to do it. I'm going to use dependency service because it's built in and it's pretty cool. It's nice and easy. We can say dependency. Xamarin.Forms. Does this mean the SK typeface needs to be disposed? I would say yes. I think you'd probably want to dispose everything. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to load it once, because you know what this is really doing. Didn't like that, did it? Might have put that back. What this is really doing is it's going and getting an asset. It's loading up that font. It's reading the font, creating a stream, and creating the typeface from the stream. So I don't want to do this every time I draw. So I'm going to basically just do it once. It's called font. That's it. R2AU says, new dev on my project, introduce use of dependency service into a project that was literally, there's literally zero uses of it anywhere, then invoked it from the view. Did it cause you troubles? This is one going to come from here. Now, why doesn't this like this? Oh, I think because I removed a using. That's weird, isn't it? Okay. That should be cool. So hopefully that will load up our asset. Okay. Now we need to do the same thing. So we register with the dependency service. Let's do the same thing on iOS. Let's create ourselves a new class. And we're going to call this font set helper.ios. I should actually call the class that as well. Anyway, it doesn't matter. And again, this is going to implement our ifont set helper. Implement that interface. I'm going to make this public. I don't think it matters actually whether this is public or not. Oh, I see R2. You already had a DI container. Probably a cooler one. Yeah, well, yeah, that's a problem. Toolam, more could streams be found on YouTube in the future? Absolutely. Let me show you where I'm basically posting those up to. Up on my channel. I haven't actually uploaded these ones yet. So once I finish this stream, I'll update all the ones for the various for the Marvel cards. But I've got all the ones for Art Auction, Day versus Night, Unzone, Mountain Mobile. So all of those. Yeah, I think the problem is with with Twitch, it gets rid of those after a while. So yeah, go and search me out on here. I'm also trying to write articles about them as well. So, for example, I'm a little bit behind, but I've written up a couple of them. So for example, this one here. I sort of basically talk through how we do all of these. So go and have a look there as well. Weeks. And what I do plan on doing as well is actually creating small videos, like a 10-minute video that just goes through how it's all done. That's my other plan as well when I get enough time. Cool. Or the other thing you can do as well, I think if I go to, I actually spent some time going through all of these and updating the readmes. Hey, Bill Ashton, welcome. So I updated the GitHub repos for all of these and put the links out to the videos onto the YouTubes. So I'll do the same thing. And you know what I also found out? I don't know if anyone else knew this. It turns out that in a GitHub repo, there's a setting for when you post a link to your GitHub repo, and it gives you like a Twitter card. That's pretty cool. Anyway, we digress. Okay, what we're doing, we were going ahead and we were adding in iOS. Okay, so in iOS, we say, yep, go and get it from the main bundle, yada, yada, yada. We're going to go and get this from our font name. We're going to include some usings. And there we go. I pulled everything in. So that should get it for us. We need to make sure we register this with the dependency service. So I'll steal the code from here. Probably going to complain because I need Xamarin.Forms. No, wrong one. Xamarin.Forms. I also pulled the same thing, so that should be cool. Bring that in as well. I'll tell you exactly. It's a much better improvement in the massive picture of the author's face. Okie dokie. So now we have what we need to load up a font, and depending on the platform, it's going to get it from the appropriate places. So we've got the fonts in, whoops, it's behind my head. But we got the fonts inside of each of our, so in our Android, it's under assets, for example. It's going to go and basically pick those up. Okay. So now let's play around with loading these up. So this is going to be in our hero card. And Mohammed, you mentioned, what do we do with disposing, things like that. In our case, it's not really a problem because we've only got one screen here. But actually it turns out that there is a bit of complexity because this hero card that we're having a look at here is the card for each of the cards. And so there is actually can be multiple instances of it. What I'm going to do is I'm going to just be a little bit cheeky for the moment. And I'm just going to create myself a static here. Right? Of our typeface. We'll start off there, and we can always refactor it a little bit later on. All right, so that's our typeface. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, let's just load it up once. So load up the typeface for just once, right? So I'm gonna basically just put a bit of logic in here to say if our typeface isn't set, so if it equals null, then let's just go get our typeface, and we'll say from our dependency service, we'll go and get our iFont helper. Okay. Then we have our method get Skia typeface from asset font. Okay, and then what we want to do is we'll bring in the font. So I think we're using the Montserrat bold for this. Should be able to do something like this. Go and jam that in there. Okay, so that is kind of a really cheeky way of just creating the typeface once and having it shared between our cards. I think that'll probably work for us. Okay, now let's try drawing some text. But in our paint surface, we can probably clean this up a little bit as well. But anyway, in our painting of our surface, we clear the canvas, we draw the top part of the card, we draw our gradient. We work out our gradient, where it's going to be. We draw this rectangle, we draw the white bit at the bottom. Probably what we also want to do then is we want to say, let's draw. We've got two bits of text. We've got the hero name and we've got the real name. We'll create a method. We're going to put this onto our canvas here. Get this method. Okay. What we need is so we can say like canvas.draw text, right? And so we can say the text that we want to draw, which in our case would be like our view model dot hero name. We can give it a position and we can give it a paint, right? So if I said this is at 0, 0, and we need a paint object. So you don't want to necessarily create a paint object every single time. So I think I'm better off. I think I do this up here as well. I create a paint object before or ahead of time, basically. So let's do the same concept here. We'll create ourselves a hero name paint. Oh, and we'll escape pain. Escape pain. Yep, let's create ourselves a paint object there for that one. Okay, so we should be able to say for this, our typeface is equal to our typeface. We should be able to give it. So one thing with fonts and a lot of things in SkiaSharp, it's good to add is anti-alias, just to give you a bit smoother. The color, let's start off with a color of white. Okay. And then we want our text size. What's our text size going to be? It wants to be an SK color. Something like that. I need to tell it what it is. Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Mohammed. All right, so we have our color, and then what we need to do is we need to set up our text size. Let's just try this first of all. Let's just grab a font size. And I think this is going to be in pixels, so this will be a little bit interesting. So our hero name was using the style of header. Style of header is 60. This is going to be a bit of trial and error. So I'll try like 60. So it's going to be done in pixels. So we need to consider the density of the device. Somewhere up here, we worked out what the density is using Xamarin.Forms, Xamarin Essentials. So I should just be able to say that times the density. Okay, and that should give us this pane object, right? Which we can then go and use down here. Okay, so we'll go ahead. We'll draw that text. We're going to want to put this over multiple lines as well. So that'll add a little bit of complexity. But let's do this somewhere like... I just want to see that it actually draws this out correctly. So if I do that, hopefully that will actually go and draw some text for us. And if that dependency server stuff works, it should have the right font. So let's let this spin up. Oh, if you look super careful, you can see it here. Okay, so let's do this. Let's be a little bit more scientific about this then. Let's work out where it is. Oh, excuse me, at the moment. So this is at 400 Xamarin.Forms units. And that doesn't seem to translate particularly well. White on slightly different white, exactly. Let's go and just grab a, I don't know, a different value. What do you reckon? Let's just go and throw in a value. Oh, that's 400 pixels. So actually that wants to be like 400 times the density. Okay, let's create ourselves a some variables here. And let's create, I don't know, like a hero name pos. Y. Okay, and let's go and set that. Probably like a, what does it use? Floats normally. And let's go and set that. Once we get the paint, let's say, let's get that equals, I don't know, like 450 times the density. Okay, so that'll give us a position to paint it at. And we won't be relying on pixels at that point. Actually, you know what? We probably want to bring that in a little bit as well. Don't want it to be right against the side, so let's have a... I think 40 is where things start these days. There. And all things going well.
Sometimes things don't work.
Oh, that doesn't want to be an int, that wants to be a float. And let's see what we get. That should be hopefully around about the same place as our other one. Yeah, that's not bad. That's not bad. So there we are. We can see that it's, and that font size looks pretty close. Okay, so this one, if you can see on here, you can see that it's pretty much right. So what we need to do is we need to split it over 2 lines, right? So originally what I'd done is I'd created 2 labels, and then Lachlan said, why don't you just create 1 label and get it to wrap? So that was cool. So we added a space in to make it wrap. But what we will do here, because it doesn't do text wrapping as far as I know, what we'll do is we'll just measure the height of the text. We'll split it on the space, and then we'll move this down onto the next line. Mum, and how did Visual Studio know where to put the field? I have no idea, but it normally does a pretty good job. Like here, it's thrown it here. Other times I see it put it above the method. Okay, so let's stop that. And let's do this. Let's say, let's create an array out of our text bits, right? So split our text. And we're just going to do that by just saying, let's go and get our text bits. And our text bits are going to be our hero name. Oops, no, dot hero name. And we'll just split that. We're making a pretty bold assumption here that every hero consists of 2 words. We'll just go with that for the moment. And we'll say, let's split it on a space. And then we'll draw each of the bits of text. We'll say for each of these text bits dot length. Okay. Let's go and get the position to draw the text, because we don't want it to just write over itself. So this will take an SK point. Okay, so that's going to be our hero name posx. And then we need to get the height of the text as well, right? It turns out that if we go and have a look at the paint object, hero name paint, right? Based on the font size that we said, you can say, how big is the text size? Right, so that gets or sets the size of the text. So that's the vertical size of the text. Let's see. I'm told now if you hit F1, oops. If you hit F1, yeah, look at that. Look how much better the help system is now. It actually takes you to the docs. And it even took me to the SkiaSharp docs, which pretty much tells me nothing, but that's pretty cool. Say text height. And if we, I don't know, if we go and we grab I times the text size, text height. Sorry. All right, yep. We should be able to draw, not the hero name, but the text bit's I. Right, so whatever line we're up to. And I think that should draw our multiple lines. Go to Android. I find my Android's faster to deploy now, which is quite amazing. Now, I don't think it drew it. Oh, it did. Up here. You can see it right up the top. If you look really close, it's white on different white, as Dragon says. Yeah, because I thought that the chance of me actually getting in exactly the same spot is remote. What's that? The text position. Oh, okay. So we're not offsetting it down. Yeah, so it should be like the hero name pos. Yep. Yep, I think you're right. That's right, Dragon. Should be like the hero name pos y. Yep. Hero name pos y plus I times the text height. Ah. Thanks, Dragon. So hero name pos y is our starting position plus I times the text height. We're assuming that we're getting the right text height here. Do we set a text height in our paint? Text size. Yeah, so let's see if this works. There we are, beautiful. Okay, it's one of these two, but we can see that we've got the rendering basically right. That's cool. I don't know why it's a little bit different. It's probably got to do with like line heights and stuff like that. Yes, this is a line height of 0.85. Let me take that back to the desktop. That has a line height of 0.85. So that's probably explains why it's a little bit different. Anyway, okay, so we got some text to display. That's good. In the right font. Let's now draw, we'll add something in to draw the real name, and we'll get rid of the labels. We'll basically create another method. This one's going to be simpler because we don't have to split our text. We should just be able to say, and it's only one line of text as well. So hopefully, something like this. Now, what I'm gonna do here is just set an offset for this. So we'll have our real name. Well, our hero text is going to appear in the same place. Let's create a real name posx. Generate a variable. I wonder if there's a setting here so you can change the type. Generate that, and we don't need to modify. We don't need to do it based on how many characters we have. We should just be able to get the view model real name. I'm going to paint it in the same paint. So Dragon, you said maybe do a hero name paint text size times. Yeah, let's try it. Let's try it. So something like that. Didn't work. Too many brackets. Said I times the text size. I plus. What do you reckon? You want I plus point times 0.85? Thinking that. On here. Times 0.85. Yeah. I'm missing here. What's going on? Oh. Eesh. There we go. I think it's what it could be. Well, yeah, it's not going to be I times 0.85, is it? Because I is going to be like 0, 1. It's going to be times text type 0.85, right? All right, let's not worry about this one for a moment. What I really want to get working is that gradient. We'll adjust these because I think it's in the wrong position anyway. So we'll come back to that one. Let me try and get this one in the right place first of all. So the real name. Yeah, it's the view model real name, the text position. We need a real name pos. This is where we go and, I don't know, just invent a number here, I suppose. I don't know. We could do it with maths, I suppose. Or we could just sort of come along here and we could say, where's this one? Actually, we don't know where that one is. Let's just throw a value in here for the moment. 550 times that density. Cool. Needs a lot of refactoring, this code. But hopefully that will draw it around about where it needs to be. And just for giggles, let's get rid of the text Actually, let's do this. Let's restart this, and then we'll get rid of the text that's actually in the labels, and we'll see how it actually matches up. The font size is a little big. A little big. All right. So Dragon says, in a real app, you would need to use math to find its position. Otherwise, if character name has 3 spaces or 3 lines, yeah, it'll overlap the real name. That is so true. We're taking a lot of liberties with this one. Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. You would, but no hero has 3 names. It's always Aquaman or Captain Marvel. But yeah, absolutely. There'd be a lot of text rendering that you'd have to consider for sure. Measuring text is the worst. Who knows what it does with different fonts as well. Okay, we need a different pane object. That's what we need. Right, and the reason we're sort of doing that here is because it uses the typeface. We don't want to get any memory leaks. We should profile the application a little bit later on as well, to see whether we're actually consuming memory. So I'm gonna make this like 25 or something like that. Look at that. Put it in the right place for us. Amazing. All right. Let's use a real name paint object when we, for the real name. Damn you, Lachlan, the Incredible Hulk. Spot on, Lachlan. The Incredible Hulk has 3. All right, not bad. Okay, cool. Turns out there are... Hey, Molly. I just clicked on that link because I trust you, Dragon. Yeah, some of them have 1 as well. So that's gonna, well, Avengers isn't a hero. Deadpool though. So yeah, you totally have to do Guardians of the Galaxy. Holy moly. Sorry, I'm on my wrong screen again. These are all the Marvel characters. Thanks to Dragon. Look how many there is. No wonder they make so much money. Wow, okay. All right, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna swap back to my Android, and I'm just going to clear those labels that we have. You like that, Zamagon, Clinton? So I'm going to just clear this text and we'll see using hot reload. There we are. We should see those disappear. The real name label. We'll set its text to be blank. All right. So that's it there. Of course, what it's done is it's gone and moved my learn more label up, right? Because if we go and have a look at the code that I was just changing, Yeah, this is in a stack layout. So that's gonna cause me some problems. So I think I'm gonna get this out of a stack layout. In fact, let's just go nuclear on this, and we don't want this label anymore. We don't want this label anymore. We do want this label, but we don't want it in a stack layout. And now our card is basically a canvas, an image, and the learn more label. Now, technically, I suppose I could do the learn more label as well in SkiaSharp, but I kind of like the idea, for better or for worse, trying to use the native labels wherever I can. So, in a second, I got to see how big that stack layout was. So, actually, I'm going to have to just guess this, aren't I? So, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to run it. And then I'm going to use a good old hot reload to work out where it needs to be. Oh. And that's when I realized that we're referencing these. So what we were doing here is when the animation was running. Oh, this was our hack. This was our hack to change the colors. Mohammed says, you don't appreciate what UI frameworks like WPF and Xamarin.Forms do for you until you work with low-level graphics libraries. That's so true. You're like, hey, just set text wrap. So I can get rid of that code. So I'm guessing, you know, what we could probably do is we could probably create a control really for SkiaSharp labels. Maybe that's an idea. Anyway, but there's not a big requirement to do gradients in text anyway, which is why we're doing all of this, by the way. This is our real name animation. I'm just gonna comment this out for a moment. So the purpose of this is to animate that up. Maybe we should just do this now. Let's just do this now, hey? We want to pretty much say, okay, well, this is what we're going to need is we're going to need to add this. So this is as the thing animates up and down. So Dragon, I could probably put our custom labels inside their own Skia canvas and put that inside the stack layout, which might push the learn more label down. Yeah, possibly. I'm just going to position it, I think, just using the margin, because that's exactly how we've done like the image and things like that. So, but yeah, you could totally do that. All right. So what I'm going to do here then, let's do this. Let's get this to animate. So what we could do is we could say, we could have a real name offset. So instead of actually just adjusting the translation Y, we'll just have a value. Right, so let's say real name offset Y equals, and we'll move it by the same amount, 50. Which is V, but we need to times it by the density because we're now dealing with not Xamarin.Forms stuff anymore. Right, and then what we'll do is we'll add that into our value. I'm also going to have to tell it to redraw. And do the same sort of thing then for our main label. density. Okay, so what we now have is when those animations run that were previously moving the label, we're now getting a couple of offset values, which we're setting, which are doubles. Let's change them to floats because Skia likes to work in floats. I'd prefer to just convert them once. It's not converting it once anyway, is it? Yeah, whatever. Okay, so now when we draw the labels, it's now going to be the real name pos, which is the initial pos, plus real name offset y. That about right? This is going to be hero name offset y. Maybe. Okay. We need to adjust the position of that hero card. We'll do that while it's running so we can see. Hey, Android. Show me how broken it is, Android. Okay, we're going to label. Learn more is right up the top here. So I'm going to adjust the margins on that bad boy. So let's make it 40 in from the side. So I'm just adjusting the values here. I'm using hot reload to bring it down. Think about there, maybe. Might be a little far down. Let's try. Okay. Now, interesting. Let's see whether that animation bit, because theoretically this should animate now. There we go. So that animation, that offset worked. Beautiful. Amaze balls. Okay. You know what always amazes me actually is how fast Skia is at rendering. Because what I'm doing here is actually really, really inefficient, I think, because, and maybe there's some merit in what you're saying, Dragon, in that we should split these out into different SkiaSharp panels, because what I'm doing is as I'm animating, as I'm animating these bits of text up and down, I'm invalidating the canvas, which is actually redrawing everything, right? Which is super inefficient. But still it performs well. So I'm gonna just get it working, and then I'm gonna optimize later on. Cool. So of course, thanks for the follow, Nervy. I need to add that that overlay into here. But yeah, thanks for joining us, and appreciate it. So as you can see, we're doing, I'm not sure when you joined us, but let's do a little bit of a recap here. We're trying to implement this bad boy. So far, it looks like we haven't done much, but what we have actually done is we have, let me bring this over here. What we've actually done is back down here with the Spider-Man here. We've done this part here. So we've sort of got that bit going. It's pretty close, pretty close. That bit coming up. Yep. We just did this bit here. Now, clearly what we need to do is that bit, that little bit of text going through there and doing that. And I reckon this is going to be pretty easy. Huh. That's like famous last words. The reason why I think it's going to be easy is because the way that we do that gradient when we render that is we create a shader. We put that shader on a paint object and we tell it where the gradient should be from what color to what color. My theory is that we've got paint objects for the real name paint and the hero paint, and we should just be able to get that same shader and apply it to that, and it should just work. But before we do that, I'm going to have a bit of a bathroom break. So let me throw a timer on for 5 minutes or so. So we've been going for about an hour and a half or so. Let me throw 5 minutes on the clock. Grab yourself a bit of a stretch, and see you in 5. Oh yeah, and if you leave your band, go get your snacks. Exactly, Dragon. right, we're back. Why that dragon? Oh. So you're Enervi, welcome. You're doing a simple timekeeping app. Beautiful. SkiaSharp. Oh, you haven't dabbled in SkiaSharp yet? Dragon, you're working on a timekeeping application as well. Yeah. So, Dragon, you're aware of the Lottie animations, aren't you? The, what's it called? Lottie files? Yeah. Lottie files. Lottie files? Let's... I'm using Bing. Yeah, it's got so much cool stuff. Did you see in the weekly Xamarin last week? Here's another good place to get Lottie files, because the problem I always have with Lottie files is that they're really awesome, but they tend to be a bit full on for like micro interactions. So last week in the weekly Xamarin, there's this one here, which has things which are much more appropriate for like all those micro interactions. That's really cool. They got like, you know, notifications, hamburger menus, and these you can, when they download, they give you the JSON file. I couldn't pass a JSON. Okay. Anyway, that's there. I don't know. That was a cool thing that I found. I plan on using that in a lot more applications. Okay, where are we up to? We're gonna just snatch this bit of code here, right? Because what this bit of code does is add a shader to our pane object with a linear gradient that goes over it, over the current gradient transition as it moves up and down. So my theory here is that we can use a very similar thing to create our shader for our text as well. I could just copy this code, but what I'll do, I don't want to really repeat that each time. Let's create ourselves a method that returns an SK shader. We're going to need to pass in the colors. Because this one goes from hero color to white, we're going to want to go from like black to white. So we'll call this get gradient shader. And here we're going to return an SK shader, which goes from color to color. And we're just going to assume that we're doing 0 to 1. So we're assuming a lot here, but anyway. So now I should be able to change this to say get gradient shader hero color to white. Clinton, wow, SkiaSharp is 50 meg. I don't know if it's 50 meg. I actually haven't looked at how big it is. I think maybe Nervy was talking about Lottie. I don't know. I don't know how big it is actually. I've never actually had a look. The NuGet says it's 50 megs. What does it actually say? 55 meg. But that's for all the SkiaSharp. I'm assuming that linking it will pull out most of the stuff that we're not using. So I doubt it would be 55 meg. I don't know though. My guess is the link will hopefully, if the link is sort of set up inside of this NuGet properly, which probably is, it should be much smaller. But it's a good point. I actually haven't looked at that. 50 meg. What's 50 meg? Oh, there's a light version. I didn't know that. That's cool. All right, let's try this out. So we've got this gradient shader now, right? So the theory then is that we could come into here. I'm going to stop this first. We could come into here and we've got a real name paint. Apply the gradient shader. So I could say real name paint.shader equals get gradient shader. And it wants to go from, yeah, that is also true, R2. NuGet size might include all platforms. That's probably true. Trust in the linker, I say. So we're going to go from white, because that's what it is when we don't have a transition, and we're going to want to go to black. Then we'll do the same thing for this one here. I'm just wondering, where would we probably would, we don't want to do it on a line by line basis. We want to just set it on the I'm gonna have to tidy this all up, I know. So this will be on our hero name paint. Android sizes. I mean, I almost give up on Android sometimes. Black. Let's see what that does. Big oof. All right, Android, what you doing? Let's see. Oh's me gosh. You seeing this? It's like it works. Let me slow it down. Let me slow it down. Let's see it in all its glory. So one thing I like about animations, God, this file's a mess. Let's make this over 10 seconds. And let's, oh, hang on, sorry. What I did is I just Sorry, I just adjusted the animation speed to say this whole animation is now going to take 10 seconds. It's going to be really slow and annoying, but we should be able to see the gradient to see if it works. All right, here goes. Beautiful. I wonder if this is interruptible. What happens if we get off? Let's see what happens if we try and interrupt this halfway. Let's see what it does. Could probably do with a bit of oh, nasty. All right, let's worry about that later. All right, cool. All right. I don't think it'll crash. It crashed. That was a clip from before, wasn't it? You know what I'm going to do now? So I'll put this back to 2 seconds, which is what originally was. And all these, by the way, all of these animations need to be adjusted to get them right. But I'm going to do this with a profiler because I want to see if I'm opening and closing that gradient, whether I'm chewing up resources. There's a build. There's always worry about those, about what bad sort of things I'm doing. Let's start the profiler. You might not be able to see this window. I'm going to profile allocations. And bring this over here. All right, let's do a snapshot. Okay, that's good. We're pretty stable here. Let's try bouncing this thing up and down a bit. Okay, that's cool. I don't think we're chewing resources. I mean, the profile is going nuts, right? But and memory is pretty much flat. Snapshot? Oh, it's currently snapshotting. So, Dragon, you found an issue in your application today that was caused by threads not being cleaned up and meant that every device in production was hitting your database X times every 5 seconds. All right. Sorry, I'm eating. I'm creating a lot of shaders, but snacks. Scroll bar. But we're not consuming memory. That's good. 0 persisted. All right, I think we're good. All right. Cool. What's next? What's next? What's next? There's our little list of things to do. Boom. Text gradient done. All right. Expand details. Expand animation. I think we've done that. I don't. Kind of with expand details. Also, this bug with the back arrow, we fixed that because we created a bigger image. Okay, let's throw some details in. So, let's have a look at what we're trying to do first of all. So when we expand up, we have a Marvel come in. We have some text and these elements here. So this is where last stream we talked about what are we gonna do for small devices, because this is on an iPhone X. Actually, while we're looking at this, I'll run this on an iPhone. Just to see what we have. iPhone, there we go. Right, back to this. Right, so we need to enhance our view model. We need some text. Inside of here, we need some images. Okay, I've already brought those across from SkiaSharp. All right, so we'll just add that in and we'll see what goes on. Then we'll animate some of that stuff. The animations for this are a little bit complex. I might simplify it a little bit to start off with because I don't have too much time. But if we have a look here, this bit of text, or this comes in, and then the movies. This top bar actually drops down. Cool. I'm just, at the moment, I think what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to put all of this area here. Let me draw here. I'm going to put everything here inside of a scroll view so that we can scroll that up and down, because and then here we might do something like we did with the art project and just have like a flow layout or whatever it's called, just to produce these. Because if we put a collection view and it has a scroller, that's not going to be ideal, because then we're going to have a scroller inside a scroller. Meanwhile, let's have a look at what our iOS did. Here's our iOS. Okay, cool. Works on iOS as well. Beautiful. Excuse me. Clinton says, what's wrong with a scroller inside a scroller? Everything is wrong with a scroller inside a scroller. Okay, first things first, let's lay this out. How are we going to do that? Oh, actually, we've got to adjust our view model first of all, don't we? We need more stuff in our view model. What we're going to need, we're going to need a list of images. Crystals. We're going to need to have bio. And I bought those images in before, but I didn't actually add them into the projects. So let me do that. By the way, I think I finally worked out how to use this show all files. I find if I double click, that's when it will show me. Yeah, because sometimes it doesn't redraw nicely. Anyway, so what we want is we want to bring in, these are our posters, 1, 2, 3, 4. We got the Marvel logo. So many Android resources. Android's so broken. All right. Is that it, Android? Dragon, I learned that Android doesn't handle it very well if you put a Google Maps map inside a scroller on a page. Right. Yeah, there's some definite differences in Android and iOS, how it deals with stuff. Particularly with things like when things have a 0 opacity. In Android, they still register all the clicks and stuff, and on iOS, they don't. Let's bring these in for iOS. What? I know, include. Yeah, we added those in. It might be quicker to do that. You might be right. We're almost done. All right. Okay, cool. That was why. Doesn't matter. I bought them in anyway. But yeah, okay, cool. Thanks, Dragon. So now it's a matter of giving some values for this. So this is where we come over to somewhere like this, and we're going to copy some text in from one of these. Okay, cool. First of all, we want the posters. Posters equals new list of strings, and they're conveniently just called Spider-Man 1, 2, 3, 4. We'll just do that at the moment. Of course, in a real app, I'd probably use FF image showing, or FF image. I'll pull them down from a real resource, but we're really just focusing on layout. Put the posters in for Iron Man. Iron Man 1, 2, 3, and 4. All of the stupid typos around the place. We need a bio as well. Is that a bio? Let's copy some text from one of these web pages. Yeah, looks all right. So for Spider-Man, Benjamin Parker was born to CIA agents Richard and Mary Parker, who were killed when Peter was very young. Isn't that the case with every superhero? Their parents were killed when they were young. After the death of his parents, Peter was raised by his Uncle Ben and Aunt May in a modest house in Forest Hills, New York. Lovely. Happy days. Let's copy that text from Tony Stark. Tony Stark is an eccentric, self-described genius, billionaire, playboy, philanthropist, former head of Stark Industries. Using his own great wealth and exceptional technical knowledge. Yeah, get rid of that. You can copy the rest of the sentence. Cool. That'll do us. Okay, so now we have all the stuff we need. From a view model perspective, let's go and ram it into our UI. I'm going to start my Android project. Should be able to just put this in, shouldn't I? For now, I'll bring this over here. Okay, so it's pretty much wants to be in position when this comes up. It's going to want to be in here. I think the easiest way to do that is create myself a, let's do this. Let's create a grid here because we need to have a scrolling section here. Okay. So as a grid, go details, create 2 rows, find a place. Second row, which is going to have a height of star. And then I'm going to background color. I really need to get used to using debug rainbows, don't I? Wowzers. Okay, cool. That goes over all the screen. That kind of makes sense because I've set the whole background to yellow. To not do that. Instead, let's add a box view. Into row 1. There we are. And that will show us where it is. It needs to be a little bit lower, doesn't it? Debug rainbows. Yeah, I've really got to use debug rainbows. Probably about right. About right. All right. Let's add, just to jam this in. Let's see what happens. So what I actually want first of all is I want a box view, which is light gray in color, to create my divider line. So let's zoom in here and see what sort of color we're dealing with. So, that'll do, donkey. And we'll give this a height request of 1. We'll have to give it a... Okay, I have to make this a vertical options of start so it doesn't fill. Okay, cool. That gives us our line there. Need to give it a margin. 40 from the left, 40 from the right. Okay, beautiful. And then, so this bit that doesn't scroll. That sits at the top. Everything below that scrolls. Let's throw a scroll view in here. It's a name. I'm sure we'll need to give this a name. Let's call this our hero details scroll. And probably get away with the stack layout, I'd say. Stack layout for that. Sure, why not? Okay, so what do we want? We want a label where the text is our binding to our bio. In grid row 1. Apply a margin. 40 from the left, 40 from the right. Down a little bit, give it a bit of top padding. Beautiful. Another horizontal row. This one we don't need to specify that in. Our margins in our scroll. Okay, cool. With this one, we might need to, in fact, let's add a margin to the bottom of here, maybe. Maybe a margin here. Yeah, right. What's next? Where's our design? This one. Whoa.
The goal of practice is always to keep our beginner's mind.
Okay, so we've got movies in a similar font to this. And then put in like a flow layout.
You're liable to lose the limitless meaning of original mind. In the beginner's mind, there is no thought. I have
Movies.
to do something. All self-centered thoughts limit our vast mind. We have no thought of
Now,
achievement.
we probably have a style for this, I think.
True beginners.
What would that be? It was probably a subheader. get one? Nope, I don't see it. Why isn't this scrolling? Hang on, I'm just going to put the bio in twice here. Is it white text? It might be white text. Why no scroll? Why no scroll? Vertical. Does that help? Hold on. Next color. Not reloading because I'm making typos. Ah, Dragon, you're right. White on white. Okay, that's cool. All right, flex layout. I suck at flex layout. I'm gonna lie to you. You know where we've got an example of a flex layout, which is basically what we're after, and that is Lachlan did one for. I don't use the flex layout very often, Dragon, but Lachlan put something together for day versus night. Bum, bum, bum. I can't spell my name. No, art auction. In this one, didn't I? Oops. That's my image. So in this one, there was some code, because I'm not going to try and remember how to do it. It was in maybe this one. Flex layout. Why do I keep saying flow layout? There we go. Cool. Bindable layout, direction, columns. All right, let's put that over here. Let's see if we can get that appearing. So align items. Actually, let's first of all put some content in here. So if we say this has bindable, it's a bindable layout with an item source of posters. And then we say bindable layout dot items item template. We have a data template. And then I suppose we just put an image in, right? Image source equals posters is a list of strings, so it's just going to be binding to the value. Broke something. Posters, flex layout, yada, yada, yada. Oops. Might have killed itself. What else did you have in here? As wrap equals wrap. It wraps around. Ooh. Why no scrolling? Why no scrolly? I'm going to move this up the screen a little bit. Reload. Not successful. I wonder if it's not the right size. Let's have a look. Make it as wide as the screen. Probably doesn't have any height. I would have thought it would get its height from the ones beneath. Hey, PT Dave. Subscribe for 2 months in a row. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. I need to get some subscriber emotes. So thanks again. All right, let's put the rest of this in and we'll see if we can work out what's going on. So what else did Lachlan have? He had, we can have justify content. Space them evenly. What else? Direction. Direction. Column. Maybe. I wonder if this item source is right. Like we should be able to see that here. Could not load image. Right. Okay. Well, that's probably something to do with it. Invalid file. Thanks. Ironman_1.png.jpg. All right. Look at our view model. Called Ironman 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, looks about right. I don't think I need the PNG. Let's just try it. Maybe we do. I thought it just sort of picked that stuff up. I could be totes wrong. Let me just check that file name again. Ironman1 PNG JPEG PNG. Clear this output. Would not load. Interesting. Oh, wait on. Build actions. Android resource. And several list of strings make it a list of file image source. This should work, shouldn't it? me just have a list of strings. Two, three. What do the outputs actually say? File image source handler could not find an image or image file was invalid. Get out of the way for a moment. Pretty valid. Doesn't need a copy action, does it? I don't think it needs a copy action. All right, let me just try this first. Let me give it a clean. I hope this is not one of those issues that takes hours to resolve. Strings. Boosters. Must have. Yeah, it's a good idea, Dragon. And we'll layout. Item template, data template. Stick an image inside there. Building. They didn't deploy for some reason. There you go. A clean. Clean did the job. Okay. All right. We good. We good. So now we can move it back down. Actually, before we do that, let's say we want to space these evenly. We want it to fill. We want it in our columns. In the center. Not what I was after. Oh. Is it wrapping? In rows. That's better. That's better. Okay, cool. What do we want to do? We want to put some rounded corners on them, I suppose. You know what we need? Pancakes. Pancake views. Pancake. Okie dokie. Let's run it up again and let's play with that layout some more. Pancake's namespace. And let's wrap this in a pancake. I don't know what this is going to do because I'm editing it. Let's try to start. Probably going to die. Ooh. As long as you don't save it, it'll be fine. Just as you type that, I hit save. Okay. Cool. We'll adjust all this a little bit later on. Where did my bio go? It's still down there. Okay. Pancake view. Corner radius. 5. Yeah. Didn't work. Yes, it did. Okay. Cool, we got movie posters. Wonder if we need a little bit of margin around here. You can't see it because I put it behind my head again. All right. Cool. So let's grab the bio. Let's put the bio where it needs to go, which is actually just move the flex layout down. Now we have line, bio, movies. Movies. Awesome. Is there a spacing property on a flex layout? I have no idea. Let's have a look. No, no spacing. We have padding, of course. We have margin. No. I think it's up to the children to have their spacing. No. Okay. But that'll probably do us for the moment. Hang on a second. You know what? That grid goes down a little bit too far. And the reason why is because our card actually goes down beneath the bottom of the screen. I think we need margin on this 0, 0, 0. browsers. That did bad things. Oh no, here we go. No, plus 30 maybe. No, that's not right. Left, top, right, bottom. Is that working? Yeah, that's working. Beautiful. Okay, so now we need this to interact. We also need to put in our Marvel icon as well. We want, and actually that's interfering with this click as well. Okay, so we probably need to input transparent is true. And that will allow, yep, us to click on that. But it's going to stop it doing that. So when we animate it and when it comes in, we're going to have to change the input transparency on it. Okay, that's good. Put transparent over here. Now all of this stuff is going to want to start hidden. Dragon says the bio won't be visible on the non-expanded version though, so it shouldn't interfere with the click. Except in Android, even if it has no opacity, it still interferes with the click, I do believe. So let's set its opacity here to 0. Everything wants to start with an opacity of 0. Okay. And what we now want to do is we want to when we're actually animating in the card, or we change the state of the card, we then want to basically work with the different values. Slap some of these down. These are all our animation methods, which I think we can probably simplify. Animation. Okay, so we have our go to state. So in here, this is where we're animating. We want to say, let's animate these things in. I'm just going to do these in line, I think, for the moment. Parent animation. Add. We'll just, these sort of go in towards the end. So this is going to be the animation for the... Hey, Raphael. I'm well, thank you. Just working on some Marvel card stuff here. So we want to say, let's create an animation. We want to say, when we get a value here, we're going to animate that scroll into place. This guy. Okay, so we'll adjust its translation. And we'll just, for the moment, let's just basically set this to a value equals our value. And when we're animating in, we want this to come up. So we want to have a positive translation Y. So we'll just give it a value and bring it into place. It wants to have the same easing as, say, our image, I think. Okay, so it wants a spring out easing. And that should be about it. We also want to have its opacity change. From 0 to 1. That would be a linear. What do we do here? Okay, so that should bring that scroll into view if we've done that right. Let's put this in a method by itself in a moment. And then this other one, this is when it's going out. We want it to go from 0 and we want it to animate down. And this time we want a spring in, not a spring out. And we also want our opacity to change. Dragon, your internet died for 15 seconds. It could have been my internet. My internet's terrible. Okay, let's see what this does. I'm hoping what this will do is swap over to our Android screen here. I'm hoping this will pop up, basically. Or not. Okay. Why is that? Why is that? Ooh. That grid's invisible. Oh, there we go. Oh. So I just changed the opacity on the grid. So now, that's all right. But of course I can't scroll this. And the animation times are wrong. Okay, that's not too bad though. Come back over here. This is why UI stuff takes so long. All right. We want to say hero details. Input transparent equals true when our card state, well, we want it to say if it's expanded, no, if it's collapsed. No, other way around. If it's expanded, God, Boolean logic. Boolean logic. There we are, something like that. Another quick run. See if that works. So we're just toggling that whether it receives input or not. And the idea is that it should only be involved in the input if we're not collapsed. Beautiful. Beautiful. All right. Fix that animation time. We also want to do this top bar. This top bar is going to basically, it doesn't start with this. It's going to, as that goes up, it's then going to drop down with it. Okay. So this is animating in the details scroller. Animate in the top bar. Pretty much going to be similar to this. Sebastian, hi Sebastian. What type of file was that? The one with Iron Man. Oops. I mean this one here. This is a video. This is what we're trying to reproduce. So this is a video of it. And so I'm just using this to sort of step through it. Try and work out what all of the animation points are. So we need that top bar, which is hasn't got a name, so let's give it a name. Something like our, I don't know, hero. Oops, our hero name divider, hero details divider. Okay, and we want that animated in. Oh yeah, and we're doing C# here, yes. Now this one here, we want this guy. It's not going from the full, it's actually coming down from the top. So it wants to start at a negative value. And probably just linear, because this is dropping down. And it doesn't want to start at the same time, so maybe it starts almost as this one finishes and finishes at the same time. And it goes from 0 opacity to 1 opacity. Yep, cool. Animating out the top bar, so it's going to go from 0 to -20. And it's going to go from a 1 opacity to a 0 opacity. Now, let's have a look back at our video and see when that actually happens, because I think it happens on the collapse. It's the first thing to go. Here comes the collapse. Yeah, the first thing to go is that text. All right. So it's going to want to actually happen at pretty much 0, 0. And this one, I go at 0, 0, like 0.1. I really need to work out a better way of working out these values. It's a little bit painful. But there's just lots of different things happening at the same time. What we're looking for in this one is we're looking for that top bar to drop down. Oh, okay, so this bar here. Okay. All right, let's adjust the... Actually, I think we've got one more element in here that we need to bring in. We need to have that, there's a Marvel icon, which appears here. So I'll leave this running because what we should be able to do is we should just be able to try and place this whilst it's running, use a bit of hot reload. And we'll just basically just ram it in here and see what happens. Boom, 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 boom. It's going to go next to the Learn More label pretty much. Oops, not a label, it's an image. What did we call that image? We called it Marvel logo. Good name. Okay. Marvel logo. There it is. Little big, little big, little big. Let's make this horizontal options. Let's be on the right hand side. What else do we want it to do? We want to it's at the start, give it a margin. 0 to the left, I don't know, about 400 at the top, 40 from the right, very bottom. Okay, not bad, not bad. Let's see where that... Okay, so we want it to line up here. So it needs to be down a little bit further. 500. Too far. Yep. 480. Let's say that's about right. Okay, let's work with that. I just want to get this in place before we're finished. So we'll give this a name. So it's going to be called like our Marvel logo image. And we're going to want to animate this in as well. So it's going to start out with an opacity of 0. Okay. Go back into our code now. And Let's create another animation here. And we basically want to change its scale. It doesn't move. If we have a look at the Marvel here, it basically just hops in around when that gradient comes in. Then pops back out again. Okay. So we want to change its scale. And we want it to go from 0. Oops, hang on, I'm in the else here. This is the wrong place to be. Animate in the Marvel logo. He wants to go from 0 to 1. And in terms of easings, probably a spring or a bounce in. Maybe a spring in. Spring in. In's when it starts, out's when it's finished. We want to spring in for the other one. And it wants to go from an opacity of 0 to 1. And it wants to happen probably around about the same time as this. So let's say this will happen at 0.6. Finishes about the same time, so I should put it 0.85. About the same time as this one. This will be the same. I'm sorry, this is super boring. Just me just guessing numbers. And this one I want to start at 0 and pretty much go like the opposite. We want it to finish probably around here. And this is going to be a spring in because we want it to spring as the animation is entering. And it wants to go from a scale of 1 to a scale of 0. And it wants to go from visible, an opacity of 1 to an opacity of 0. Give that a run, see what happens. Wow. Okay. Oh, do you know what I did? If I go back and have a look at my code, I didn't change the opacity for it. Copy pasta. That's why you don't copy paste, kids. I was wondering where it went. There we go. There's our Marvel logo. Probably adjust that margin down the bottom here, I think. Oops, back out again. Actually looking pretty good, I think. Let's see what disasters we have in iOS. You're thinking the same as me, Dragon. But what does it do on iOS? Exactly. Well,
sometimes things don't work.
let me try and deploy to iOS first. The good news is that most of this stuff should probably just work. Ah. Oh, hang on. I'm still waiting for it to deploy. Now let's have a look at both. Here we are. Both. Right, we have cards. We have cards. It's not bad. I'll tell you what we do need to fix. This font. Damn, this font. Let's quickly fix that. Let's go have a look at Iron Man. Yeah, hi Iron Man. Nice. We're almost there, I'd say. I think there's actually a lot of work that could be done just tidying up those animation times. I'm not going to make you sit through the boredom of that. Let's adjust those fonts though. Oh, what did I do that for? I should have just kept it running. No. Yeah. So that's in our hero card. We need a style here called biotext body font, which is our medium font, which is probably what we want. I don't know. Anyone want to guess the size? 14? Might be a bit small. We'll find out. And what color do we want? Not black. Things are rarely black in design world. This is not a scientific way of doing this, but anyway. Got that value. The animation on the iOS for when the text the animation for iOS for when the text comes up seems too far. It feels much smoother on Android. You know what that might be? So the Android's running locally. Like when I have a look at these two, when I have a look at these two simulators here, the Android device that I have is an emulator that's running here. This iOS one is being remoted across from my Windows machine. And so there's a little bit of lag, I think, there. mean, it's not too bad, but I think that would probably explain it. Because the timing should be the same. But yeah, that's something we can definitely look at, Sebastian. Clinton, who needs black when you don't you don't have a vision impairment? Yes, good call. Okay, let's have a look here. Let's get our bio. Where's that? File equals. Static resource of bio text. Oh, he's saying that iOS is too fast. Not slower than Android. When the text comes up, seems too fast. Look. It does feel a little bit faster. You're right. You're right. Hang on, let me deploy this out to the iPhone. Maybe because it's more text on the screen. Maybe, but I think the animation that we're doing for that is, I mean, it's messy, but it's just doing the translation of 200. So it should be moving the same amount. And the timing should be the same. Which is not to say that it's right. Has a longer display, maybe. Yeah, look, I think the reality is if you're going to put this into a production application, there's so many little details that you'd have to look at. Okay, let's have a look. That is the new font. It looks all right. Let me just start the Android with the new font as well. And then we'll have a look. We'll see if we can work out if there's a difference. Just redeploying this one. Let's run the previous one of these. It could be an optical illusion, you never know. Yeah, it definitely feels faster, doesn't it? Why? Oh, you know what I think it might be? I think it might be an optical illusion of sorts caused by, if I take both of these down, if in fact, I wish I had hot reload because then I could, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm just for the sake of this, I'm gonna change the animation speeds on these. So let's put it over 10 seconds. And unfortunately, I'm going to have to redeploy both of them. At least the Android's quick. I think why it looks faster is because the gradient has less distance to travel here up this screen because it's smaller, which means the text comes in here, Whereas when it's got further to go, it comes in a little bit earlier. Maybe, I don't know. Let's put the iOS one on as well. These should both be taking 10 seconds. On iOS. I just want to pause for a moment and acknowledge what an awesome job the Android team's done, because for me now, Android is much faster to deploy than iOS. Just amazing. Having said that, I think my iPhone one's crapped out. I don't think this is deploying at all. Can you have that in writing? Oh, I can tell you on my environment, Android's faster. Launching. No, I don't love Android. Android's still, in my opinion, a mess. Okay, let's have a look. Let's try and get these going at the same time. Ish. Yeah, so it's taken the same amount of time, right? That's coming down too fast. All right. Yeah, I think it's the distance traveled. Oops. Let's try Iron Man. I missed. This is why I'm rubbish at first-person shooters. And also it's got a little bit more text as well. It's a bit of padding. Dragon. On Android, it isn't really noticeable, but on iOS, the posters animate in at different times. How would I accomplish that in the Flex layout? That is a really good question. My guess is that we would run through the children and apply a translation animation slightly offset. So you'd like for each through the children, create an animation for each one, just slightly staggering them. That's how I think I would go about it. Yeah. And what's the time? It's 19. Cool. So what do you reckon? Are we close with this one? I think I need to spend a little bit more time with some of the animations, but it's super boring work, so I don't think it's worth going through on stream. Let's just put it, just redeploy them again at normal speed.
Sometimes things don't work.
Look at this error. This terrible error. It says it can't connect to my Mac build host unless I run it like 3 times. Let me just bring this up one more time with Android. Whilst I do that, got that. We got the details to scroll. Yeah, I had expand details, allow details to scroll. I think we need one here that I'm not going to be able to tackle today, which is make the items in the flex layout bounce in. They appear. What else have we got? Let me go back over here and we'll have a look at both of them together. So this is the idea. We've got basically swoopy swipe around there. Beautiful. Look at that. Maybe limit the smallest scale when switching cards. Oh, you mean this bit here, so it doesn't go right down to the tiniest bit and it stops at about that scale? Yeah, okay. Let's have a quick look at this. See what it does. In fact, we can probably a few details in this one. Let's have a look. It probably needs to fade out a little bit more as well. And you're right, it doesn't go so small. All right, I'll put a few notes on those. At the scale of the image when swiping out. Refactor lots of code. A bit messy. Messy. Let's say that's probably most of it. So I'm probably going to sign off. I think I'm just thinking about in terms of the stream, we might move on to something else. I'll spend some time fixing up various elements. Thanks, Bill. Interesting stream. What are we doing? If you ever streamed an intro to Xamarin.Forms animation course, you wouldn't be mad at that. Suggestion from President for intro to animations. All right. Well, thank you. I don't know. I'm just reproducing designs. All right. Cool. Well, in that case, I might. Well, wait. Before we do anything like crazy, like sign off. I need to remind you, if you haven't followed, hit the follow button. But what I also need to do is I need to check in this code in case anyone wants to have a play around with it. After stream 3, worst commit message ever. No worries. Thanks, Dragon, and thanks again for all of your awesome chat as well. So have a good night. And let's quickly have a look, see if there's anyone that we should follow. Or sorry, should, what's it called? Raid? The Alt F4 stream is on, is it? That was fun. I really like the people at Alt F4 stream. Yep, they're online. Beautiful. All right, well, let's go and raid them. I'll see if I can work out how to do that. Meanwhile, Alt F4, isn't it? Exit. Close, yeah. What's it actually called? The Mac. It's actually called. Sorry, hang on. And I suck so hard at doing raids. But listen, hey, thanks everyone for joining us. I'm going to put the ending screen on. This is where I should have a nice little outro type of thing, but I don't. But let's go and visit our friends at Alt F4. Thanks, R2AU.
It's R2, so you can't argue with it.
Can you hear that, R2?
It's R2, so you can't argue with it.
All right, let's go. Let's go a raiding, huh? So, as always, guys, thanks a lot. See you next time.